Hello, Amy here, and thank you for joining me today to do this really fun art project. Today we're going to be using some instant coffee to learn how to paint values. And we're going to do that by using one shade of color. And values is just how light or dark that color is. So first we're going to start out by putting a little bit of coffee on our plate. And you could just put a good tablespoon there would be good to start with. So what we're going to do is we're going to be starting with our lightest values first, because it's easier to make something darker than to start with dark and make it lighter. So we're just going to take that tablespoon of coffee that we put on our plate and we're going to just scoop out a little bit. Because we're going to keep adding coffee, but to get our lightest value, we're going to use less coffee. So less coffee will get us a lighter value. So we're going to add some water to that coffee, because what's going to happen, it needs to dissolve a little bit to be able to paint with it. Otherwise, you'll get chunks in your painting. There we go. All right, just make sure there's no chunks. It's all smooth. Okay, so I'm going to test this on my paper. Oh yeah, that's a nice value. That's a lighter value I want to start with. So our picture today, we're not going to draw anything. We're going to just start painting our values on there. So I'm going to start with the value I created. And I'm going to do a sunset. So I'm going to create a sun, and where my sun is on my paper, I'm not going to put any coffee paint at all. I'm just going to leave it white to show my lightest value. So I'm just going to paint across the painting, and then I'm going to create my sun. Down below, we're going to cover that up with darker value later, so you don't have to worry about getting all of that painted there. We're just going to paint across, get my lightest values. So in a sunset, the lightest part of the sky is always closest to the horizon, or closest to where your ground and your sky meet. That's the horizon line. That's where your lightest colors are going to be. So that's where our lightest value. So what I'm doing is I'm just painting back and forth in one direction. It doesn't have to be in a perfectly straight line, because some of the lightness might vary a little bit. Okay, so now I want to do my next value, or slightly darker than this value that I put on my paper. So what I'm going to do is that little puddle that I have there, I'm just going to add a few more coffee grounds to that. And I'm going to mix them up, make sure they dissolve. I may not add any more water because I don't want it to get too light. So now I'm going to put it next to it. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Just a little bit darker than that first value that I put down. So now I'm going to add it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting over the value that I already put on the paper. So I'm just going to paint right over that and just make that a little darker. And I'm going to continue doing this all the way up until I've covered up my whole paper. And it's kind of like watercolor. If you add water to it, it actually will reactivate that when it starts to dry, and you can actually blend in just by painting a little water over it. It can blend those colors in. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to blend these two colors together a little bit better. All right, so now that we have the values in our sky, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add some more. I'm going to make the really dark now because I want to do my tree line, or the front part of my landscape that's closest to me. That's going to be the darkest part of my picture. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more water Make sure all that coffee on my plate is all mixed up, and I'm going to add a little bit more to it because I want a really dark brown. Now, when we do our trees, I'm going to do fir trees. And we don't want them all the same height across there. I like to do different heights of trees to give a more interesting look. So what I do is I just start by making, oops, yep, we're gonna test that, but that's nice and dark. So I'm just gonna make some lines where my trees are gonna be first. This will just give us some guidelines. So when you're making a fir tree, all it is you make your lines. Those are like the center of your trees. Then you just use brush strokes from the center out, kind of down at a down angle a little bit. Another way to do trees is you can just dab your brush on. I made that one type of fir tree. This is another type of fir tree, is you can just do the same direction, but you just dab your brush instead. That'll actually give your trees, it gives them a little bit of texture too, but you could do it that way. Here we go, and there you have it. You have your value painting made with instant coffee. Well, thank you for watching this video today, and I hope that you have a lot of fun creating your value painting with instant coffee. We'd love to see a picture of your finished art projects, so go ahead and snap a picture and send it to us at the email address below, and because we would love to see your creativity. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.